Friends, a young man from Pakistan, out of mischief, wanted to experience the torment of the grave while still alive, and as a result, he had to pay a very painful price for it. This is a true incident from Multan, Pakistan, which we are going to share with you today. Friends, we put a lot of effort into making these videos, so please give this video a like, and if you are new to our channel, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon. So, let's get started. It was evening and two young men were digging a grave in the cemetery. One of the youths was named Ihsan and the other was Zain. They were digging the grave of a friend named Rashid. Ihsan was Rashid's cousin, and Zain was their mutual friend. Rashid, whose grave was being dug, was supposed to get married the next day, but due to a family feud, he was murdered. A house that was supposed to be filled with joy and celebration turned into one of mourning. Rashid's parents were left in a state as if they were living corpses. Instead of preparing for a new beginning, they were now making preparations for Rashid's funeral. The atmosphere in the house was such that it seemed as though a catastrophe had struck. Anyway, let's get to the main event of today. When the two friends were digging Rashid's grave in the cemetery, the grave digger, uncle who had finished digging the grave, told the two friends, "Boys, you stay here and wait. As soon as the body arrives, inform me, and I'll quickly return to the cemetery. I've been digging for 4 hours straight and I'm very tired. I'll take a little rest." Zain and Ihsan assured him, "Uncle, you go ahead and rest. We'll wait by the grave, and as soon as the body arrives, we'll inform you." During this time, Zain had Ihsan's mobile phone in his hand. The cemetery was eerily silent, and Ihsan was quite scared. He called home several times to ask how long it would take for the body to arrive. He was informed that the shroud was being prepared, and that the body would be brought directly to the cemetery as soon as the funeral prayer was over. After finishing the call, he handed his phone to Zain and stood a little distance away in the cemetery. Zain, who was a bit mischievous by nature, stood by the edge of the grave, looking down into it, seemingly lost in thought. Ihsan called out to him from a distance, "What's up? What are you looking at in the grave? Aren't you scared?" Zain, still deep in his own thoughts, was startled when Ihsan suddenly called out to him. He began to say, "Friend, people say it's very scary in the cemetery at night. These dead people must be very brave. Otherwise, how could they stay here? See, living people like you would be terrified. I think I'm braver. I don't feel scared at all. I wonder how the angels question the dead person." Zain was speaking absent-mindedly. Suddenly, Ihsan's phone, which was in Zain's hand, started vibrating. The phone slipped from Zain's hand and fell into the grave. Ihsan, looking angrily at him, said, "You dropped my phone. Now no one can enter the grave to retrieve it, and I won't be able to get my phone back." Zain, despite being mischievous, was very gentle and well-mannered. He said, "Look, friend, the phone was on vibrate, and it slipped from my hand when it vibrated. All right, you hold my hand, and I'll go down into the grave to get your phone. There's nothing to be scared of. We all have to go into the ground one day," Zain said as he received a little help from Ihsan and entered the grave. He picked up Ihsan's phone and came back up. The phone had some dirt on it, which he cleaned off as much as possible before handing it back to Ihsan. Ihsan, quite surprised, said, "Zain, I must praise your bravery. Friend, you entered a new grave at night just for a mobile phone." Zain replied, "Friend, if you want, I can even sleep inside the grave." Ihsan said, "Yes, of course you can, you're very brave." Then Ihsan added, "Hey, don't show off so much bravery." Zain responded, "All right, do you see those wooden planks over there? Do you think you can lift them by yourself?" Ehsan replied, "Yes, I can, but why?" Zayn then said, "I want to go into Rashid's grave for a little while. Lie down and see how it feels. I want to experience what happens inside a grave. You can cover the grave with the wooden planks. I just want to feel what it's like to be buried in darkness." Hearing this, Ehsan was terrified and started scolding Zayn. He said, "Friend, you're even thinking about mischief here? Aren't you a bit scared? What if the body arrives while we're doing this and we get caught? What will people think? They'll say we're making fun of our friend's grave. I won't help you with this." Zayn tried to convince him, saying, "It's not a big deal." Eventually, Ehsan saw that Zayn wasn't listening to him. He said, "All right, I'll agree, but you have to promise not to do any more mischief after this." Zayn agreed, saying, "Yes, this will be my last prank. After today, I won't do any more mischief." So, after much persuasion, Ehsan finally agreed, and Zayn fearlessly entered Rashid's grave. He sat down inside the grave, and Ehsan began covering the grave with wooden planks. After placing 3 planks on the grave, Ehsan went to get the 4th one and joked, "Should I cover the grave with dirt too?" Zayn responded, "Yes, go ahead, I give you permission." Ehsan laughed and said, "Why would I do that?" "All right, if you're really scared, just let me know, and I'll remove the planks and pull you out." Zayn replied, No, just wait a little farther away. I want to lie here for a while." Meanwhile, Ehsan, feeling increasingly nervous, worried that if Rashid's body arrived and they were caught in this situation, it would be a disaster. People would think they were making fun of their friend's grave, and everyone would question their morals. With these thoughts racing through his mind, Ehsan quickly went to the grave and tried to remove the wooden planks, but to his surprise, they wouldn't budge. The planks, which had been easy to place over the grave, now seemed impossible to move. After about 5 to 6 minutes of struggling to remove the planks, Ehsan became extremely frightened. He tried calling Zayn on his mobile, but the call wouldn't go through. He sent a message saying, "I can't lift the planks. What's your situation?" But there was no response. After waiting for a while, Ehsan ran to the grave digger's house and urged him to come quickly. When they returned to the grave digger asked, "The body hasn't arrived yet, so why did you call me?" Ehsan then explained everything to him. Hearing this, the grave digger was shocked and angry at first. Then he asked, "What are we going to do now? Why did you agree to such a request? Now you and I both might get into trouble with the police." But despite their best efforts, neither of them could lift the wooden planks. Ehsan, terrified, began to cry and called his elder brother, explaining the entire situation. When Ehsan's brother arrived at the cemetery, he listened to the whole story and began to assess the situation. The grave digger also shared everything he knew with Ehsan's brother. The grave digger had many questions in his mind, but for now, he began digging a new grave for Rashid. Ehsan's brother called Zayn's family and explained the entire situation to them. They were shocked and bewildered, while some of them began to suspect that Ehsan might have had some ulterior motive to kill his friend out of jealousy or envy. Within 5 hours, the cemetery was filled with people, but no one could lift the wooden planks. Finally, the fire department was called to remove the planks. Meanwhile, Rashid's funeral was completed. When the planks were removed, they found Zayn's lifeless body inside the grave, with each plank weighing about 1.5 to 2 tons. Allahu Akbar. After this, everything seemed to stop. The police arrested Ehsan, and on the same day, 3 friends met 3 different fates. One was buried, another died due to a reckless prank, and the third was imprisoned. Though most of Zayn's family believed that Ehsan would never harm their son, they couldn't understand how Ehsan alone could have carried such heavy planks or why the gravedigger would have participated in such a prank. There were many mysteries left unsolved, and the police investigation yielded no answers. Religious scholars stated that this was divine intervention, a punishment from God. A month later, Ehsan was released on bail, but was haunted by the sound of crying near the grave. Zayn's final words were, "This will be my last mischief, my friend. After this, I won't cause any more trouble. One day, you will remember all my mischiefs." He also told Ehsan, "Cover me with soil in my grave. I give you permission, I am very brave." Remembering these last words, Ehsan cried out in agony. How did their lives become so chaotic while they were joking around? 2 of them met their deaths, and the third one's life was entangled in legal troubles. Ehsan began to realize that not everything in life is a joke. He couldn't understand why his friend Zayn was so determined to enter the grave while still alive. Didn't he feel any fear? Scholars say that the grave is a veil between this world and the hereafter. If anyone tries to unveil this, their outcome will never be good. Making jokes about the grave is not right. May Allah grant us true understanding.